Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Vio-lence Let the World Burn EP, out March 4th on Metal Blade Records. This release has 5 tracks, 25 minutes in length, and this is their 3rd EP. The last EP that they released was Demos back in 2003. They are a well-known, iconic, I dare saying, thrash metal band. Now, as far as the overall feel, this EP was a little bit different than what I was expecting. I was expecting them to take some more liberties, be perhaps more creative, think outside the box, and give us something that maybe we wouldn't be expecting from Vio-lence. That's not the approach that they took. They went more with the traditional sense of creating an EP that's very cohesive, very balanced, very well connected, feeling more like a full-length record that's been cut in half. But it still has a start, middle, and end, which makes the overall flow, which makes the overall playability of it a lot better, a lot more engaging. As far as the sound is concerned, 2 things to say. The bass is killer. The tone, the sound, the experience, how much it pops, how it connects with the drums, how it connects with the guitars, giving 2 separate different feels, but allowing the overall volume, the overall sound experience to be very robust. On the other hand, you have the guitars, and you have Bobby Gustafsson, former Overkill, behind one of those guitars. And that adds value to the overall composition of the songs, that adds value to the overall execution of the tracks, construction, solos, everything surrounding the guitar sound on this album has a little bit of his fingerprint on it. Perhaps you can see it more in the way the songs are constructed and the way the songs come together. Every single track has a sense of purpose, has a sense of clear direction, and then that clear direction that the individual songs have transmits itself to the overall design of this EP. Definitely something that I believe Bobby had a huge role in it. Now let's get into these 5 tracks, starting off with Flesh and Bone, killer bass, you're going to hear that from me throughout this whole review, and guitar combo. Now this song has a little bit of a built-in intro, so it starts a little bit slowly, it builds into the song, works really well, not just for the track, but the overall experience of you getting started with this EP. Then, guns blazing. The track starts to pick up speed, becomes a little bit heavier, a little bit more driven, it has more momentum to it. The drums start to pack the sound really well, compensating all the gaps that exist, making this wall of sound coming at you because you got drums, bass, and guitars. Everything just feels so powerful, so unified, just one single force coming towards you from almost the start, and that becomes the calling card of the entire track. You just never really get away from that feeling that the song has. Now the vocals help define the intensity. They're very gritty, so the intensity that the music has is better defined by the way the vocals come across and how the vocals help you navigate the entire track. The solo section rips. It exposes the intensity that the music already had. You saw the vocals doing that on one side and then the solo does that on the other. It really bears it all. It really allows you to see underneath the hood everything that is there, and it makes the song feel so complete. It adds also a lot of aggression to the way the track is coming across, but it's a phenomenal track. It has all the right ingredients and all the right places. Next you have Screaming Always, a song that starts off guns blazing from the get-go. This one doesn't have a slow build up to it. It doesn't take its time. No, the moment you press play, it's in your face. It just absolutely rips. The guitar riffs, the vocals, they blend perfectly. They really start to drive this track forward. The 2 elements together, one pushing or feeding off of the other. The chorus is a lot hookier than the verses. The verses are perhaps a little bit more direct, and then the chorus has a little bit more of a melody to it that makes it more hooky, makes it more catchy, both musically and vocally. The guitar bridge that this song offers is perfect. It takes the mood down, it adds a little bit of darkness to the track, it allows the song to simmer, it allows the song to breathe, and then it builds back up perfectly from that dark moment that it has. You start to see it growing, the aggression starts to become a little bit uncontrolled, and you start to see things moving towards the solo. The solo blends everything together. It blends the intensity of the track, it blends the darkness of the track, it blends the aggression of the track, and then after that it goes back to how it all started. Having this sequence of going into this bridge that's very dark, building from it, hitting the solo section, going full circle is very important because you have a song that never really pauses. It's just always coming at you with a lot of volume, with a lot of movement. So having this bridge allows for everything that builds from it to feel even bigger, even heavier than anything that came before. It also makes the song easier to digest, easier to process, becoming more memorable all around. Next, you have Upon the Cross, killer bass throughout, not just as the intro. You notice it at the intro, and that's an important element, because then as it peaks throughout the entire song, you always go back to how it sounded in that beginning. So a very important element in terms of how it's designed and how it's incorporated in the overall structure of the song itself. A song that loses a little bit of the momentum, a little bit of the speed, a little bit of the intensity that we saw from the two previous tracks, but what it loses in speed, it gains in heaviness. So it feels a lot heavier all around because it moves more methodic. It's a stomping style track. It just has that stomping down, that heaviness of moving very methodically throughout, but one that works really well. The vocals are a little bit more dynamic. So you're losing a little bit of momentum musically, but you're gaining a little bit of momentum vocally by going a little bit up and down, changing a few things here and there, allowing the overall process not to be as balanced vocally while staying very balanced musically. This makes still the song feel like it has movement. While being a very direct and linear song, it doesn't feel as linear anymore because of what the vocals are doing. The solo section is exceptional, super explosive. For a track that's moving this methodically, for a track that's moving this slowly, allowing the heaviness to take control, the solo section really breaks the chains. It really frees up the song, and it gives the intensity that the song never really had up until that point. And then it simmers down, going back to the original formula, allowing the song to have this complete bookend feel from start to finish. Next we have Gato Negro, killer bass once again, a track that has some thickness to its sound. The thickness in terms of how it merges the bass with the drums, and then the thickness of how it merges the bass with the guitar playing. Still creating movement, still having a heavy, driven sound that pushes you forward. The vocals help define all the different momentums that the track has. I think you can feel them a lot better because of what the vocals are doing versus trying to break down the song musically. Feels like it's always turning itself to 11. It's a track that has that sort of approach to it. It's just always on the edge of going a little bit over that edge, and that's what keeps you connected to it. That's what keeps you glued to it. It has that ability to do that on both fronts, musically and vocally, so you're never really sure exactly when you're going to lose control of this track. I don't feel like you ever really do, but it's always pushing the edge. It's a track that's constantly on the edge of being controlled chaos and then uncontrolled chaos all around. I love the movement that this song has, the quick bursts of aggression that it holds. And then last but not least, Let the World Burn. Killer song to finish off the EP. It really is a closing track. When you look at what you got at the beginning, what you get through the middle, and then the way this song is put together, it has a little bit of an exclamation mark at the end. The guitars sound killer. They just intertwine. Feels like there's two different guitar lanes, and these two guitar lanes are working in parallel, but at the same time they're merging with one another. So they're just perfectly weaving throughout the entire song from beginning to end, mixing heaviness, intensity, aggression, melody, all of these elements, just creating an overall killer sound that feels very robust. Now, the vocals add a lot of aggression and intensity to the song, so they match exactly what's happening musically on the vocal side, creating a much bigger sounding song, creating a more impact all around. At the midpoint, you get a bridge that completely breaks the track. The vocals come in, they're very somber, almost like spoken word, and this is a clear break of everything that happened up until that point, and then obviously everything that comes after. So it just completely pauses the song, lets you take it all in, but it also builds up. It builds up to what comes next, and then when the song reignites with its former self, that second portion of the track feels 100 times heavier, 100 times bigger, 100 times more powerful than the first half did, making it really come together as one, allowing the song to be heavy all throughout, but have that killer finish that really puts the exclamation mark not just on the track, but on the EP itself. This is it. Vio-lence, Let the World Burn, out March 4th on Metal Blade Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the EP, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.